Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Live in Italy Magazine's YouTube channel. And buon anno, Happy New Year. We're very excited to be entering now our 4th year of Chat with an Expat. And I am pleased to introduce David and Gary, who are design experts. But most importantly, we were just talking before I started recording about a region that you must explore, Marche. So we're going to talk to them about where they're originally from, what they are doing in Marche, their design team and business, and then maybe a few tips if you are looking to buy a property in that region. My name is Lisa Morales, and I am the editor of Live in Italy Magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. So welcome, Gary and David. I'm very excited to see you both.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you.
So if our viewers aren't following you on Instagram or social media or know of your website, I'd like to get back first into some history. So you can decide who goes first, but tell me where you're from.
Well, I'm David. I'm from Bath, but also from Puglia in Italy.
Okay, that's good to know. And Gary?
And I'm Gary. I'm from a town called Bristol, just near Bath in the UK, in England, and don't have any Italian blood in me. I'm English, but I love Italy and I think I must have been Italian in a previous life.
Right. Okay. And well, the thing is, definitely you are Italian now. So with anyone we interview is a nice blend. So David, were you born in Bath or were you born in Puglia?
And I was born in Bath, but I lived when I was a child. Because my parents are from Puglia, they decided to move to the UK, and then I was born there, but then they moved back to Puglia. So I grew up in Puglia until I was about 16.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you are the best of both worlds. And obviously we talk about people who are Italian by descent. So you are one of them. So I guess being pre-Brexit, you were you're like an Italian citizen, right?
Yeah.
Lucky him.
Yes.
Yeah, lucky. So what were you doing in the UK prior to, I guess, like, let's go professionally, moving to Italy?
Well, I am a historical building restorer, so I do have my job work includes the restoration and conservation of all historical buildings, monuments, castles, churches, and all throughout the UK. And so that's what I was doing.
Especially.
I noticed that on your website, and I found that fascinating. You know, restoring cathedrals and castles. That's so exciting. But there must be huge, complicated projects, right? Because you have to keep the historical integrity, right, intact.
Yeah, no, we do. And there's such strict guidelines, especially when you're working with historical buildings, which every council and the government has in place all these regulations. Right. So yes, right. You restore a building, you have to keep its history, really.
Right. And Gary, were you always in design too?
Yeah, I've been an interior designer for about 10 years now. That I worked in the travel industry, actually. So I always worked abroad in different countries, sometimes tour leading and guiding. So I find being a designer and living in Italy, it kind of combines both of my passions for design and for being in a new country or a different country with a different culture. And it kind of scratches my travel itch as well, being here and doing this.
Yeah, I'm always a little envious that once you're in Europe, you have so much access and really affordable to travel. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many places to visit outside of Italy and within Italy, and you can be in a different country quite quickly.
Quite quickly. That's really exciting. So how did you meet?
Well, we met in Bath, in a bar.
Bath in a bath.
Bath in a bar.
Just over 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was just over 10 years ago.
On a beautiful sunny day, which was unusual for a May day in the UK,
right.
because
a sunny afternoon in May.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. And then were you working together beforehand, or then somehow the partnership developed professionally?
Yeah, we never worked together until we came here. Well, you were working here, weren't you?
I was working here. Yeah, because I contacted a company here in Marche, in a town only about 45 minutes away from where we are. And I was given a chance to join the team here and to work on a medieval floor, which was amazing. In a church. And so we decided to come here.
It was even because even though you're from Puglia, you didn't know this
No, I
region.
never knew this region. The only place I knew was Ancona, which was
this is the big port.
Yeah, the big port, and used to be the capital. And today, but that's as far as I knew of this region, really.
So the project you were working on that sparked this interest in Marche was in Marche then?
Yes, yeah.
So what was your first impression then, besides the project itself, of the region?
Like, wow.
Yeah, it was wow. Yeah, because
it was so not heard of, not promoted, not
undiscovered.
Yeah, that's the right word. And we were like, wow, it's got everything that Tuscany has, but also this really stunning coastline that is a little jewel, and all these blue flag beaches, lots of medieval hilltop towns, very authentic, very traditional, and kind of not. It was like Tuscany without the tourists. It kind of reminded me of.
I like that. Tuscany without the tourists.
Yeah, you don't have to line up for anything.
No, and there's no traffic on the road. So
right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to know too that if you are looking for the countryside, it's not all about Tuscany necessarily, is it?
Oh, that's true. That's so true. You know, we have the same scenery, the rolling hills, the patchwork fields, the mountains as well, which have got snow on them at this time of year. So we have really lovely, beautiful countryside, and just like Tuscany.
So what initiated that idea that, okay, we're going to leave what we had, which I guess was also very successful in the UK, to move to Italy?
Well, we weren't at a time, we really. It was
when we found our house.
Yeah, when we found our house, because obviously during the week I was working on the site, but at the weekends we used to, the best way to explore this region was by driving around by car. And that's how we came across our town, and
the house that
we saw this
bought.
House, and we bought. Yeah.
So the house that we discovered, the house that we ended up buying.
Yeah.
That way, just kind of driving around, because one of the things we noticed as well was that it was also similar to Tuscany, but a more affordable version of Tuscany as well. You know, in terms
that's
of
good to know.
Yeah, much less expensive than you'd pay in Tuscany. You get more for your money here.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to guess that you probably purchased a property that need to be lovingly restored, right?
Yes, we did. How did you guess?
I don't know, but we're going to get into that if nobody knows. But let's talk about your business. So you decided, okay, here's where we're going to be. We purchased a home, but it has since grown tremendously. So here you are bringing your experience in restoration and historic restoration projects to Italy. So tell us about how D&G Design came to be.
It was when we were restoring our house, and I thought, because this is a region where you don't hear English spoken a lot,
not often, no.
And all of the people that we used, like the lawyer and the engineer and all the builders, none of them spoke English. So I was thinking to myself, how would I have done this if, as a non-Italian speaker, as I was then, hopefully I've improved now, but how would I have done this without David, without an Italian speaker? I don't think I would have been able. How do people do it if they don't speak the language? Because there's a lot of red tape, when you buy a house, then as we were saying, all the rules around the renovations, what you can do, what you can't do, you have to get the right permission. Otherwise, you find yourself in trouble if you don't know all the facts. So how do you even get to learn all the rules if you don't speak the language? So this was kind of what started us thinking about, well, maybe we could do something and help other people, because this is a region that people need to find. And also we could, I think there's a niche, there's a gap there for us to be able to offer help to people. So that's kind of the early thoughts behind D&G Design.
Right, which I think is really great, because to me, there's nothing better than going to a website, and it's not just information about your business, but if you go on D&G Design, it's also a resource. So you have a very up-to-date blog, which is amazing. And then you also offer some tours. So let's go to the blog first, because me having a background in marketing, I always am attracted to certain things. So between the two of you, who's the marketer? But David, you blog, you write a lot of the blog posts.
I do, but you're so much better than me.
Good for you, on top of everything you do, because it's very savvy. I mean, obviously you're giving a lot of information about the region, and then through that you developed quite a resource. So good for you.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
So are you blogging? If you're on a project, are you blogging late at night then?
Normally, yeah, definitely. And sometimes I get a bit behind because I think, I must do this, I must do that. You have to kind of be visible. But sometimes I'm not as probably as active as I should be with it. But it's good because also it can showcase what we do. In quite a quick way, because people love to look at before and after photos, don't they? That they really speak for themselves. And we try to do that on Instagram and Facebook as well. And then also facts about this region. Tell people why this region is one in which you should buy a house, and whether it's a vacation home or whether you're going to retire here full time or just be back and forth. Spend some time here, sometimes in your home country. We have to give all that has to come across on our website as well, because to kind of paint that picture of what life is like here as well for people.
Definitely. And I think our readers, followers, viewers, they're looking for authentic Italy, because it's not that we don't love Rome and Venice and Florence. It's just that if we're going to spend some more time, we want to move on to what's an authentic experience. And obviously travel wherever you are, you're much more enriched culturally, correct? If you kind of travel off the beaten path.
Yeah, so true, isn't it? So true.
So besides the resource of the blog, you also offer, I believe it's like, immersive tours. Is it a tour? Would you call it that?
Yeah, it's we call it a Move to Italy retreat. And one of the ideas that we had when we started D&G Design was to think, well, there's so much information that people need to learn, because if they want to buy a house in Italy, they also need to see the region. You read a lot of things about people buying homes that they haven't seen or haven't visited, and I think, God, I don't know. I mean, if you want to see it up close, we wanted to offer a program where people could come for a few days and get everything, get all the information they need. But most of all, importantly, was to make the right contacts, so that when they go back home, They can ask, they'll email a lawyer, an English-speaking lawyer, you know, if they have any questions. They can contact our estate agent, the real estate agent that we work with, to say, okay, well, you know, what do you have? Have you seen anything that would suit me? You know, after they met face to face, I think it's so important for the face to face meetings, because it's quite, when you buy a house, it's an emotive, it's very emotive, isn't it? So
and doing it abroad,
doing it abroad from your home country is more stressful than if you're buying one in, you know, in your own neighborhood. So we thought we would put together the Move to Italy retreat and line up all the experts to meet anyone who's interested in and wants to view homes for sale, and also give an authentic experience as well with the food. You know, there's lots of food, local food, lots of wine.
Yes, I was going to say that you can't say food without wine.
Exactly. So we really love hosting these events, and I think our customers really get a lot from them as well.
Right. And if you visit David and Gary's website, you'll see that they're booked well into 2024, which actually I have a question though, or maybe this might be a common question, people inquiring, is then are they responsible for finding their own accommodation, or do you help with that?
No, they stay with us. So we have
okay.
The whole thing is taken care of. They have to fly here, obviously, and car. We do say you do need a car in this region. You do need to like public transport. Unless you're on the coast where there's a train and there's lots of train stations, it's quite hard to get around here without a car and relying on public transport. But yeah, apart from that, everything else is provided. So we stay in a agriturismo, a 17th century restored farmhouse. Which
sounds amazing.
It's beautiful. 5 bedrooms, so it's a small group because we want everyone to have the chance to feel included, ask the questions they want to ask, you know, and have the time for everything to flow properly, and everyone can really get everything they need to know from the experience. So it's 5 bedrooms, 10 people, and then we eat together.
Drink together.
Breakfast is
that was going to be my next question. Who does the cooking?
It's the chef is called Paolo. He's the owner of the agriturismo. So he's great. He's worked in London before, actually. He used to, because he has a truffle farm, like a forest, those truffle hunts, and he used to provide them to the market at Borough Market in London years ago. To people like Jamie Oliver and who's the other one? Another famous chef. Name I forgot. And anyway, so then he came back here, restored his grandmother's farmhouse, turned it into this guest house, bed and breakfast, agriturismo, and grows a lot of the food on his land. So all of the food that we eat is locally sourced, or it's sourced from the venue, from the farm. It's all organic. The wine is local, everything's local. So, and there's no plastic, nothing's store-bought. It's all fresh, really delicious food. So we have, and there's a lot of it. So we have breakfast together. Then we normally have activities throughout the day, whether it's a meeting with a lawyer or the trip on the minibus to go house hunting. We look at houses that people, according to everybody's budgets, we go and view homes that might be suited to them. And then in the evening we have 4 courses and wine, and then we usually have a guest speaker in the evening. Like we've got a couple of expats that come and join us for dinner, and they talk through their own renovations, and they tell the group the good and the bad of moving to Italy from another country. You know, we say don't color it, be honest, you know, tell them. I think
that's so important.
It really is, isn't it? We can kind of go in with their eyes open and learn from others' experiences as well. So I think it's a really, I love it. We love doing it.
We love,
and we love meeting the guest as well, like right at the start of their journey. Dream home. And even if it's, you know, even if it takes 5 years, because we always say you're here for 5 days. We don't expect anyone to go home with a new house, to buy one in the next days. We want you to see what's available for your budget. We want you to meet the right experts who you can always keep in touch with until you find the place that you want to live in. And we want you to have like this complete knowledge of how you, in your situation, can make this happen for yourself. And when, you can now start planning it, whether it's 5 years down the line, 10 years, or whether it's next year, we're here, the team are here. So hopefully you're well armed and supported, with the next step.
That sounds like an amazing experience, because I'm sure you get so many questions, but we get plenty of questions too, which I know it's impossible, even from what you do, which is probably more in depth than me asking for the top 5 tips kind of thing. But first of all, let's start with buying a home. You're obviously not experts in buying a home. Do you recommend working with a realtor?
I would always recommend that.
Because one of the main jobs as well is to do all the checks on the property. So if anything is being built illegally and is habitable, they can find out all this prior, without
the history of it,
the history of the property. And usually our estate agent always finds out all this information right before they even list the property on their website or on their books.
Obviously,
that's good.
Yeah, so that's why we have them at the retreat, because we know if they've put it on their website, it's authentic, it's legitimate. Let's say, it's a real property with a real owner that can be sold without any problems.
Yes,
because it's
that's good to know. And one thing I will just say before I ask, for your favorite tips kind of thing, or more common FAQs, is that in Italy, the real estate agent represents both the buyer and the seller.
Yes.
Right. Which I think might be a good thing. Would you agree? Just because they have to please both parties. They're not just, let's say, commission driven on behalf of the seller.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. So they do have to, make it work make the seller happy and the buyer happy. Yeah. So, I think that is a good thing, actually, because sometimes, like in the UK at the moment, you get into a bidding war because the agent is obviously only representing the seller, and might 20 people line it, or might not, but they, normally get told, there's somebody about to make an offer, so you might want to go a bit higher. And you never do you? If you want the home, okay, well, I'll offer more, but if you can. But here, the agent is representing both. And that seems to work, actually.
Yeah.
So let's put it this way, based on what you've experienced personally, what would be kind of your top 5 tips about buying a home in Italy? And if you want to throw something in about specifically Marche, you can do that too.
Okay, what would you say? I would say, first of all, is if you find a region, or if you find a home that you like the look of, and properties stay on the market for a long time normally here, if you can, I would say experience the area in each of the 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yes.
Yeah,
especially here, because winters can be cold and we get snow. Although it's weirdly being mild this week. It's quite like more spring weather, even though it's Christmas. But normally after Christmas, it's coming into January, you get a bit of snow. It can be cold. It can be a bit bleak if you don't have, if you're not going to work every day. And so it's good to experience
all seasons.
I would say, and how life is, how populated the town that you like is as well. If there's going to be enough for you to get to enjoy, throughout the year. That's one tip I would say. What would you say?
It's hard.
I would say hire an estate agent, a realtor.
Yeah, because they know the area, and
Obviously, come to our D&G Design Move to Italy retreat.
Yeah, no, well, that's the goal here. Because more things will come up naturally. I'm putting you under pressure. So what about, since it's important to hire a realtor, let me kind of take it to the next step. How do you find one?
Well, that's the thing, because you read, there's so much online, isn't there, that, you know, people have found good ones, people have found not so good ones, it's really difficult to, obviously, without word of mouth, to know, isn't it? I guess when you live somewhere and you can, if you ask your neighbors for recommendations, don't you, or people you know for recommendations. Word of mouth is, especially in this industry, is really beneficial, really important. Reputation. Online, it's a different ball game. So that's quite tricky. There's a lot of groups. I've seen there are a lot of those groups and things
like social media groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people ask for recommendations in those groups. Obviously, you don't know the people who are recommending to you. So again, you have to use some caution and think, okay, well,
right,
you know, is this the, you know, who is recommending these people? But it's quite, I think visiting the region first of all is so important,
and exploring the area,
and not trying to do everything online.
Yeah,
if you're here on vacation in Italy and you like a part and you come to Le Marche and you see the prices and you think, wow, this is kind of, you know, could be affordable for me. Start looking around or ask around, you know, ask people, well, who's the agent? What do you think? There will be other expats. There are other expats that, you know, if you come across them, you could ask them who they've used. It's very tricky. I keep banging on about our retreat, but there's what a big reason why when we found a couple of realtors who speak English and who do all the checks, who are very, very diligent with all the checks. When we found them, we thought we have to introduce them to our guests because we trust them. And hopefully that comes across, that people think, okay, well, if I trust David and Gary, I'm going to trust who they recommend. Because if we didn't trust the agents, and there are a few that we've met that we think, well, they're not a good fit for us, we wouldn't work with them. We only promote the people who we completely trust. But it's very hard when you're looking online. I would say to people to come and explore Italy, and hopefully that will fall into place when you see a property or a region that you like.
So here's a question I've never asked before, but would you feel that working with a proper realtor, not just finding, let's say, the home of your dreams, it would be able to advise about the investment value? Because I think here, especially in the United States, we buy a home we love, but there's so many other things that we're thinking about. You know, we're thinking about, will this be a good investment? So what's your opinion on that?
What do you want to say?
I keep talking. No, you can start.
Well, my personal opinion is, in this part of Italy, I mean, maybe Rome and Venice and Milan are probably very different ballgame. In this part of Italy, I would not buy a place as an investment. I would think that you can't really flip a property here. Not really. You know, if you want to take 5 to 10 years to flip it, kind of defeats the purpose. I would invest in it only as a vacation rental. There's the investment. So you could you could put it on Airbnb, or you could manage it yourself as a rental for the summer and for the winter. That's kind of the investment appeal. But to buy a property, fix it up, and then say, okay, now it's going to be worth you know, X amount
to flip it.
And
you know, I would say for the most part, knowing our followers, our readers, is that, I mean, their investment is into a life in Italy and then we'll get into that in the end, the reasons why. But it's yesterday I shared from TikTok, you know, a realtor promoting an apartment in Lucca. and it was 350,000 euros. So I did a little poll because our polls do well, you know, asking, do you think this is a lot of money or not a lot of money? But I was thinking the same thing. I mean, in your case, you will probably want to buy a property that you want to restore, but this is already one that's restored. It's in the city center. So I think that anyone that's looking at it, and I'm not going to give an answer to it, nor was it endorsing the realtor or saying this is a great place. It was just more or less, you know, what do you think? And how would you judge that? Which is going to turn me back. And I've asked a few people this, and we don't have to go into it too long. But I think one thing that's good about the One Euro Home project is that it sparked kind of mass interest in the possibility of buying a property in Italy. So what do you think about it from a home purchase point of view?
I mean, it's good for I think it's very good for the concept and the idea. I think it's very good for the areas where these properties are located.
Because there are so many abandoned houses, aren't there? So many, and whole ghost towns, whole abandoned towns. There's pros and cons. We don't really have them in Marche.
No.
And I'm not quite sure why. That it's one of the regions that you don't see them.
Yeah.
I think there was a town in the north at one point that might.
I think it was right at the beginning of the whole idea.
Yeah.
But no, not since then.
Yeah. But again, as long as you've got the right people around you, if you get the right, you know, estimates from the restorers or from the builders, from the engineers on how much this really will cost you, because I think the timeline is once you buy the home, I think you've got 3 years.
3 years to complete the works.
Yeah, to completely restore it, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
So you kind of obviously need to have more than €1. But it's important to know beforehand, to get all of those. Now that will cost some money because you'd have to have an engineer. You'd have to hire an engineer to go in and give you the whole project and the costs. So you'd have to pay for that kind of estimate for that. What do you call it? Survey.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be prepared to spend a bit more. But I think if you've got the right people, then it could be a good thing.
Well, we've been told that on average, you have to prepare to spend between 35 and 50,000 euros. And then you also have a time frame for the restoration. So you need to decide, again, like what you were giving advice, in order to spend time to see it all 4 seasons. You really need to know if living in a remote location is something for you. Because when you're talking about a 35,000 minimum investment, there's plenty of other places to go, right?
Exactly. That's so true.
Right.
So they're not a euro, and also you would have to see that village, because if it's completely empty and it's being marketed to €1 home by foreign people, then your Italian village isn't really very Italian, is it?
Exactly. Yes. Now that's a good tip. That one I didn't think about, but it is true that all of a sudden that unique village might turn into something else, right? If the population is down to start with. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, okay. So I won't press you to do 5, but obviously renovation. I mean, I know when we did our kitchen, we did a bathroom. Like, I mean, everybody pulls their hair out. Probably not you, but us as homeowners. So based on your experience, of the that you have running, your design firm, is what would you say are like kind of the most key issues, keeping in mind restoring a historic property, maybe in a foreign country?
Say the first thing is get a survey. Really have a survey, so you can go in with your eyes open and what you're going to spend an estimate. I mean, add 20% onto the survey, but because here, like, an engineer will go into a property and pay for this, but they will then give you an itemized
list of all the works that are needed to the property, isn't it? Really?
Okay.
Which is it's very good and very clear, and but it's
and it will have the amounts of like an itemized kind of bill, like this is what you're looking at if you want to do all these things to it. And then, because this is what we do, and then we say to people, look, then you can pick things off in and do them in stages, where possible, you know. So this can be phase 1, this can be phase 2, or we can move things around. But at least you're aware of how much you're going to have to spend to have it the way that you want it. That's really important. And there's so many people that don't do that. And I read about, you know, in those groups, the Facebook groups, and people are like, oh, is 50,000 too much for my builder? He's quoted this for da da da. And then I think, my God, did you not get a quote before you bought the house, before you started this work? But a lot of people don't seem to do that, and I don't know why. So that's
great advice. I mean, because who doesn't like the bottom line? And then the thing is, even when you have it, then you have to have like some cushion room. I mean, everybody knows that. You wouldn't even do that at home, knowing that you're not going to go over budget, right?
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? Anyway, you would always, okay, well, we need another 20% just in case.
Well, we did it before we bought our house.
Yeah,
when we wrote a whole list. Then
yes.
Is there anything else you can think that's also key before entering the restoration?
Well, make sure that part of the survey again, making sure that the property is actually built legally, and because you hear so many stories yet again of people have brought a property and checks that were not done correctly, and
the engineer will find that out during the survey as well.
Yeah,
we did
beforehand.
So we renovated we did some renovations. We didn't do the whole thing. We did a kitchen and a couple of bathrooms and the roof terrace on a house. Now, the owners came to us after they bought it, and we talked about what we would do, the work that we would do. But the first thing that we had was our engineer came and looked at the property, kind of off the record, because we were a bit concerned about a couple of the elements there. And then he discovered, when he did all of his checks, that there was a structure on the roof, and it had been built illegally years ago. The real estate agent hadn't picked it up, or hadn't told them about it anyway when they bought the house. Neither had their lawyer, because I think they had a lawyer.
Yeah, they used a lawyer.
Nobody had mentioned it. So it's like, well, who did the property checks on this? But luckily, our engineer had picked it up. But he said, well, now you inherit the fine, because in order for us to remove this, because they wanted it gone, because they want to open up their roof terrace, we have to ask for permission to remove it. Then the council will know that it shouldn't even be there in the first place, and you inherit these fines in Italy. You don't, that doesn't get billed back to the owner who sold it to you, who did that in the first place, or the realtor who should have disclosed it or not been aware of it.
Right.
So anyway, the customer then is liable to pay this fine before this structure can be removed. Luckily, the engineer had a relative or a friend at the local council, and it was like, okay, just remove it.
That worked out. Knowing people.
Yes, knowing the right people, that helped. But that was an example of why I would always say have somebody do these checks
right
as part of the survey. They'll tell you anything, because then you've got bargaining power. You can then go back to the estate agent or to the seller and say, okay, well, this thing, your bathroom was built illegally, or this is built illegally. They're gonna, there's a fine for this, say €1,000 fine. We want this deducted from the sale price, or we want you to pay all these debts to sort everything out before we commit to buying this house. You've got some kind of because in Italy the local councils usually keep a floor plan of every home in their jurisdiction. So when which you don't, I mean, do they do that in the States? They don't do that in the UK.
No. I mean, if you're within like a like we're in a residential area, so there was 5 models. So you have a floor plan of the model, but not necessarily of your own home.
Of each and every house.
Yeah.
So here they do.
But they'll get you if you did do something without a permit. Like, and then like it's the same thing. Whoever's trying to sell has to bring it back to the way it was supposed to be.
Right, before they sell it. Yeah.
Which again, I think I'll emphasize to anyone who's watching this video or reading the article is that I think the bottom line is that just because you're buying in Italy, you think you're going to get something for less. I think it pays off if you do it right, and that comes at a cost. But in the long run, you know, you avoid a whole bunch of problems later on, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Then that's so true. And lots of people think, oh, it's Italy, it's a laid back country, and yeah, it is.
It's laid back.
But there's a lot of fines and there's a lot
of regulations.
Yeah.
And we won't get into that, but I think also with the movement towards, you know, creating efficient home heating and things like this, and the products that you use are really key, right?
Yeah, that's so important as well. And also it's like, I mean, it's what's really nice is that especially in these old towns where you do have to get permission for everything, but everything then is uniform, so the houses still look medieval, but they can still be energy efficient. They've had work done inside to keep the heat.
New advances in technology and just even the plaster that's used on the walls. Insulation is amazing.
There's a lot, and but everything still looks, ancient. Hundreds of years old. There's even color charts for the window shutters, for the front doors.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, so most you can choose from 3 colors. So all the window shutters in a town will be one of 3 colors. I really like that. So everything's uniform.
Me too. That's nice. And again, keeping the historic integrity. Well, as you know, this series is called Chat with an Expat, and that's been sometimes controversial to say the word expat, but I like to ask, you are just foreigners living in Italy. What is your definition of expat?
Expat, I would say it's somebody who has moved to another country, full time or
integrated.
Why has it been controversial?
Well, I think because, well, first of all, we've heard people say, well, I'd rather say that I'm an immigrant. Okay, so I think also because I think the people that we're interviewing don't consider themselves to be expats in the sense that they're not going to another country to congregate with a whole bunch of people from their own country. So you could go into that. How do you feel about that? Let's talk about somebody who's a foreigner that's going to Italy looking to be a part of the country.
That's my favorite type of expat.
Yes.
Right.
Because there's people that you have to immerse yourself. You have to.
Right.
In Le Marche, you have to, because, as I say, English isn't widely spoken. So if you need to go to your local doctor or your pharmacist or get your hair cut, or you have to immerse yourself. And it's really welcoming here, this region. It's like people, I guess, because like we said earlier, it's Tuscany without the tourists, but people haven't been tarnished by the tour. Like in Venice, I'm sure people that live in Venice might go, oh God, another 5,000 people in the square. But here you don't have, I think tourists, people are happy when tourists are here. They get excited.
Very welcoming.
And they get really excited when foreign people buy homes in their villages as well, like with us.
That's nice.
People are it's almost a compliment. Like, why would you live here? Why have you chosen here? We're like, because it's beautiful. But I guess people Puglia is the latest place to go. Tuscany, Rome. Why us? And I really, it's like, wow, because it's amazing.
Because I've lived in Puglia, and I have to say I prefer it here.
Yeah.
There's a magic here. I don't know how to explain it or
And people are
describe it.
very,
Yeah.
very welcoming, and they, but you do have to integrate and make the effort with people in Italian, and yeah, not just congregate with other Brits or other Americans.
Right.
Group.
So again, to emphasize, when we developed the title Chat with an Expat, it was cute and it rhymed, but
Yeah,
definitely we are not encouraging expat life in the stereotypical sense that you just go, immerse yourself in the culture, feel uncomfortable. That's usually key. I mean, you must feel uncomfortable, with Italian. I read it almost every single day, and then I'm taking lessons, but like I still, like, if I have to try and speak it, it's just
hard.
I don't want to. I have to go live in Italy, I think, and be thrown into it.
I know, be thrown into the deeper. It does help because I take lessons too, and I have them when I'm in England as well, to try and keep it going, to keep it alive, and to keep. And I watch TV, the news, but it's all so fast. But the best way is when you're out and about and you're just sitting in the bar outside of the bar, and I'm people watching and I'm listening and I'm trying to think how much of their conversation I can follow and understand. That's good. That's a good thing. But if you're going to sit with a group of, in our case, 10 Brits or something,
you'll never learn.
I'm never going to learn.
If this is true, yeah.
And it is like we do have, to say the word, we do have expats come and talk at the retreat.
Right.
They are friends of ours and they are Brits. But we don't, they're not the only people that we would kind of hang out with. And one of the ladies that came to our first ever retreat, she's from Atlanta, and she bought an apartment here. And she really, like, she's living just like we are in an old historic town, in an apartment. She comes and goes because she still works in Atlanta. And when she's here, she plays cards with her neighbors, doesn't she? This elderly couple who, they don't speak a word of English. They all make themselves understood. Because we will see her, because we've been doing work at her house. And we'll say, what did you do last night? She said, oh, we played cards with the neighbors. And I was like, really? Like, we went, and he gave me some of his homemade, I don't know what he makes, some rocket fuel.
Yeah.
And and she had that, and they played cards. And that's really nice. I like.
That is nice, because you just have to understand the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the rules.
I love that. That's really nice. So we're going to kind of wrap things up. What I always like to ask too, and you can answer individually because I think the answer would be different, is, okay, what do you miss about Bath or the UK when you're in Italy, and vice versa? Who wants to go first?
You. Go on. What do you miss?
About the UK or Bath? what I miss? Maybe just chocolate. But not... I do, when we're there in the UK, I do miss here, our town, and the scenery, the people. Because we made some wonderful friends, and
right.
Yeah, when I'm in England, I miss the friendliness of people.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, Brits can be friendly.
Yeah, no, they're friendly as well. But it's life there is different.
People, and people here will say hello to you even if they don't know you.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Whereas where I live,
yeah, you should see it where I am in South Florida. You can't even get on an elevator with somebody, and the person won't make eye contact with you.
Yeah, they look away.
Like, hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
Like we're in a box together, for 3 minutes.
Yeah, say something. I know you can speak. It's weird.
Or just look. It's crazy.
That happens in the UK, because I think in England, well, where I'm from, if you walk down the street, if I said hello to a complete stranger, he'd probably probably think there was strange.
They're going to murder you.
Or I'm going to stab him or something. It's crazy. It's weird. I mean, so that's noticeable when I go back to England. That's noticeable that here you can speak to people and people speak to you, and they'll say, like, at the moment, and people will say buon anno, or, you know, happy Christmas or something last week, and to strangers, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We need to bring that back. Which okay, so based on your experience, because obviously, you know, you're working with foreigners, you know, who are thinking about living in Italy. What do you think generally, obviously there's never one answer, what they are looking for when moving to Italy or spending a long term? You don't necessarily, because there's different, obviously, you know, especially let's say for people outside the EU, you still can only go for 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're buying a property, you got to keep that in mind. But anyway, what do you think kind of philosophically people are searching for?
I think most of the people that we've met that have bought are looking for a place to spend their retirement, whether they're not retired yet and they've got somewhere now that they just visit, and then the goal is to be here much full time later down the line. And they already know about Italy, so they've been here, they fell in love with it a long time ago, and they're looking for that's probably a more simpler way of living, and an authentic, with friendlier people, or friendly people, the culture, history, and I guess a simpler way of living, maybe. Do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. And a wonderful weather.
But I mean, you get great weather in a lot of America, but a lot of our clients are American, and they already know. You know, they've visited a lot of Italy. Probably like the readers of your magazine, your followers, they know a lot of the different regions, and it's a dream. It's a dream, but it's not fantasy, you know, that people know. They still know it's not, you know, it's a real country with ups and downs, and, you know, highs and lows, and pluses and pros and cons, but it's still a dream to live in Italy. And I think that when people do buy a place here and spend time here, they pinch themselves, but they can't believe that they made it, you know, they've done it. And I guess it is that simpler way of life that people want, and the culture, though. People love the culture, don't they, in the history,
and we're seeing that more and more younger people, or like, I mean, not necessarily in their 20s, but younger than what's the typical age of the retiree, are moving. So definitely you are an advocate for the Marche region, you know, whether you want to visit or think about buying a home, definitely go to their website and contact them. So let us know what's your website, and we'll put it below. Okay,
we are dngdesign.com. And I've completely forgotten our Instagram, but I think D&G Design Italy. I'm just turning off the light. This is not very good. I should know this, shouldn't I?
We'll put it.
Thank you. What are we?
Well, find dngdesign.com, and then on the website will be the Instagram. But don't worry, we'll put it. It's funny. Like, you're not the first. Like, it's sometimes like it's hard to remember. And then also you're on Facebook, right? So
we're on Facebook at D&G Design Italy, and on Instagram we are D&G Design. That's where I get confused, because we couldn't be D&G Design on Facebook. I had to put the word Italy at the end for some reason. There's another D&G.
Right.
Dolce & Gabbana, maybe.
Yeah, but if you remember, right, David and Gary, that's searchable right there. David and Gary, D&G Design. So it was very nice meeting you both.
You too.
Thank you for sharing so much information. And then obviously, if you want to know more, go to their website, read the blog. I loved reading the blog post. It's always interesting to find out somebody's personal perspective. And then if you have a chance, try one of the retreats. You're booking up quickly, correct? So when is your next one?
Correct. Our next one is May the 5th. We have the 1st to the 5th, which is sold out. And then we have some spaces left on from the 5th to the 9th. And that's that for 2024 for this year. Then the next one will be 2025. So yeah, book now if you want to see us this year.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank you again. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all our readers as well, our followers.
Happy New Year.
Hope to see you in Marche very soon.